Hello everyone and welcome to the Belt and Road Face to Face.
That 9 special economic zones are prioritized to establish in each provinces of Pakistan.
The most important things should be the welfare of the people. You see, the livestock. You see,
There should be a train station. There should be a bus roads and stations. There should be airports there.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Belt and Road Face to Face. Our program is co-produced by China Economic Net and Vash News Television. I'm Zoon Khan from China Economic, and today I'm pleased to be joined in our studio by Joe Rong, who is Senior Research Fellow at the Chongyang Institute for Financial Studies of Renmin University of China. And we also have with us Dr. Sajid Khurshid from Pakistan, who is Department Head at the Canadian International School of Beijing and also visiting faculty at Tsinghua University. Welcome both of you.
Thank you.
Let's start the first part of our program, Hotspot. According to Dawn News Pakistan, both Pakistan and China have agreed to elevate the Memorandum of Understanding on Industrial Cooperation to the framework agreement under the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor to realize the vision for development of special economic zones and business-to-business joint ventures. The Board of Investment Chairman Atif Bukhari said that the first phase of CPEC required leading role of the government, while the second phase required a 180-degree shift in management and roles. It called for the enhanced role of industrialists, private sector, and the business community, while the government's role would be only that of a facilitator by devising effective policies, laws, and efficient infrastructure. And this will be done to facilitate business-to-business and people-to-people linkages. As for Pakistan and China, what kind of shift in management and roles does this new policy reflect? And in what ways can both sides bring more conveniences to all parties? Maybe let's turn to Dr. Sajid for this answer. What are we seeking to improve?
The basic purpose after the decision of the Pak-China Economic Corridor, and the 37 zones were proposed as special economic zones all around the Pakistan, including all provinces as well as the capital territory. And out of that, 9 special economic zones are prioritized to establish in each provinces of Pakistan. Under the CPEC highlights, which is the geographical competitiveness or the advantage that we are getting from China, is not only to develop the railroad systems, like we have MM2, the rail systems recently established under the second phase of the CPEC between Pakistan and China. The port systems, the Gwadar port is now under operational and it's being operated by the Chinese the authorities, and they're working very efficiently, and they're providing the best support for importing and exporting their products on the different zones. Similarly, the infrastructures. The best thing which I recommend here, like wherever you go in China, in particular in different cities and different provinces, you'll find out the best infrastructure. If you really want to establish a certain area, the only thing is you need to establish the infrastructure. There should be a train station, there should be a bus roads and stations, there should be airports there, there should be dry ports if there is no sea nearby. So the economic activity starts automatically. And this is what the ultimate purpose of developing and assigning the special zones in Pakistan. So I think personally that such policies by the Pakistan government will help not only to boost the bilateral relationship between Islamabad and Beijing, even that will also providing lots of support to business community in Pakistan as well as in Chinese entrepreneurs,
yes,
which is working in B2B, business to business in terms of relationships, and that can provide lots of the opportunities for the employment in Pakistan in terms of the special economic zones, as well as the investors and the business community in Pakistan. They have a huge potential into those, investing in those.
But Professor Joe,
yes,
do you think, of course, what is firstly the concept of a 180-degree shift? Why there is a need for the business community and the private sector to get more involved? And what do we gain from that?
Right now, Pakistan government have changed a lot about the direction of the CPEC. You know, as previous governments, they focus attention on infrastructure structures, as well as something like a railway and expressway and port and harbor or something like that. You see, then the current incumbent prime minister came to power. He said the most important things should be the welfare of the people. You see, the livestock, you see, of the people. You see, so they changed some perception at the beginning, but right now they think if Pakistan would like to realize economic taking off, CPEC is integrated part of Pakistan. So they changed some idea. Another important issue which we should just stress here is the leading role of a Pakistani government on CPEC. Sometimes is not necessary. They have to position themselves again to adapt to the current situation. Right now, we all know that is SEZ, I mean Special Economic Zone, are the most important for Pakistan economic takeoff rather than before. Before that, even you just build more houses, a hospital, as well as some schools that may not apparently encourage the growth of Pakistan economy, but the SEZs are very different.
Special economic zones should be established on those locations where it is required, where it is demanding, and where we have resources for that.
So, one moment, I'll come to Professor Zhou.
Yes.
How do you determine the perfect location for a special economic zone in China?
I think the very important thing is we have to stress something which Pakistan neglect a long time. That is supply chain and industrial chain and value chain. You know, take Pakistan for example. We all know textile industry. Yeah. Yeah, they also just what do we say? They put a lot of money in the SEZs and also just built some factories. But I think the upper upper and lower, how to say that?
Decision making? Upward trend.
Upper trend and the lower trend. Okay, anyway, that the industry is not completed. Yep. That is to say, some textile industry need some special high quality cotton ginning, but the ginning is in low quality. So that is to say, and also you invited a lot of small and media enterprises, SME, just to join into the SEZ. But the problem is they are unable to do that. You need to do something like the combination between the local small and the media enterprise with the international one, with some foreign investors. Government should function as as a bridge. Not only that, but also we all know that the policy of SEZ is published 2012. At that time, there's no CPEC at all. Yeah. So some of the items are out of date. You don't have to just do some work based on some documents which we say is out of date. You see, you have to let all the stakeholders to get together how we can just issue the new policy on SEZs, rather than we just on the table, we do discuss something, we can just make some policy like that, you see.
Not only to signing the MOUs, we should have to go for the practical implementation.
So here, Dr. Sajid, what do you think are the challenges? I'll come to Professor Zhou for that as well.
Yeah. Sure,
but what are the challenges for B2B? What is stopping people from just cooperating business to business?
Exactly.
Is it policies? knowledge.
Once we're talking about the B2B challenges between Pakistan and China.
Just give an example.
And the human labor that we have.
Right.
The personnel that we have, like that is not that much trained, which is required, or that we have in China here.
I agree.
That's one of the total. So what we need to do is we need to educate those people. Like we have workers force, we have a huge labor force, but they are not that much capable, because in order to run those special economic zones, we need specialized people. Like for technical things, the technical people can do it. The agriculture related things, we need labor who can operate those agriculture based machinery. That's the mechanical tools. So we need to train them actually. Another important thing is the finances. Of course, we do have land, we do have labor, but we don't have finances.
Yes.
So we need those companies from China.
About 2 points which Dr. Sajid mentioned. Number one is the role of the government. We all noticed that the government really try to do, from the bottom of their heart, they try to do something better. But on the other hand, it seems they are unable to do that. One of the reasons is you mentioned something of should be highly trained, just as for special management, not only special management for enterprises, but for SEZs. But that kind of things, you see, which the top officer of SEZ should be more experienced. Maybe he has his own experience in some other country or in local Pakistan who has done that before, who used to touch or involved in the management of SEZ. This is number one. The second thing, let me finish. The second thing is to be a facilitator. Yeah, it is easy to say, but it is, you would like to do something in favor of the enterprises, not to do something for making troubles. If you want to do that, you should make a close study, research, and to see and to get people together to discuss many times, to do a lot of repetition discussion.
You're watching the Belt and Road Face to Face, and we're about to enter the second part of our program, Figure. Because of heavy rains, particularly in Karachi, the export consignments are being delayed. Hence, exports may be affected in August, tweeted advisor to Prime Minister Imran Khan on Commerce and Investment Abdul Razak Daud. Reports also showed that Pakistan's exports declined by 14.6% to $1.9 billion in July. However, on a month-on-month basis, exports increased by 19.7% over June. In July, the current account posted a surplus of $424 million, 1.9% of gross domestic product, against a deficit of $613 million, or 2.8% of the GDP in the same month last year. Pakistan's exports in July achieved a 19.7% increase compared with that in June, along with a surplus of $424 million in current account. So what are the specific reasons behind this increase, Dr. Sajid?
Karachi is mainly the hub of the Pakistan's economy and the business activity. After the smart lockdown, we are talking about in the month of end of July or starting of August, they started the business operations all around the Pakistan. The Pakistani government, they control very nicely, smart lockdown, not full lockdown, but the people in the second Eid especially. But right after, that's the reason that the exports immediately grow quickly in Pakistan. But all of a sudden, the monsoon season started in Pakistan, and especially in Sindh, in Karachi, which break 86 years record of the water. And still, I was watching news yesterday, there's still kind of flooding. The army chief, the Prime Minister Imran Khan is visiting Karachi. Even opposition leaders also went there. I mean, the thing is that the people, I saw different stories on interviews on different channels and social media, and they need really help sometimes now from the government, the provisional government. That's why the reason the Prime Minister and the Chief and all of these people, they plan to just visit. The point is that the Pakistan is the Asian's fourth largest producer of cotton, for example. And most of the cotton, like they are being produced on the bank side of the river Indus. And due to the flooding, it's a massive flood all around the Pakistan, starting from the north, from Swat, even Punjab, and moving towards the Sindh. They destroyed a lot. This is what the reason is, that overall there is an impact. All of that we got the exports, which is higher exports right after the lockdown, but due to those reasons, they dropped down also.
Yes.
So I think, like, due to the local market, Pakistan says that massive impact on the trade in China. Even we started the import and export between China and Pakistan, but due to these rains, we stopped all of these operations.
Professor Joe, you've been following the situation.
Yes.
How do you think it can be managed better, first of all?
Let's first say something about the export increase. First, I'd like to say is recovery increase. Not necessarily it's a normal one. Recovery, as Dr. Sajid mentioned, because lockdown and the economic activities just stayed, you see, for long, sometimes slow down. But right now, especially some food processing and garment export increase very rapidly. That's really true. But a couple of elements we need to notice. Number one is Pakistan has not diversified its export target. That is still just export to the traditional market rather than just open the new market. This is number one thing. Number two thing is Pakistan's ability to resist a disaster is still limited. I don't want to say how good China is, but anyway, you know, this year, I think actually, you know, that is in China, almost 2/3 of the provinces also face a disaster of
the south side in particular,
especially south and the Yellow River, as well as the Yangtze River. Along that valleys of that, you see. But that does not influence negatively on China's export. Nothing stopped. Even we cannot regard it as an element which can just to be a hurdle.
Impact the export of the country.
Impact, no such kind of things.
Why is that? Can you explain?
Because we have done that kind of provincial measures every year. Every year we just add some more things. As we say something about policy, we just mentioned something policy like 2012 still being used right now. In China, when we say some new things, we add some new measure. We adjust our policy. This is one thing.
Strong policy.
Strong policy. And for the dam, but if the dam this year cannot be fully used against the disaster, next year we must strengthen the dam. We must just rebuild the dam, something which we can at least release some of our burden or can reduce the loss of the disaster.
With that, we will close the second segment of our program. You're watching the Belt and Road Face to Face, and we're about to enter the third part of our program, Culture. Recently, at the 2020 China Catering Marketing Power Summit and awarding ceremony of top 10 catering brands, the famous milk tea brand Sexy Tea was listed in the top 10 Chinese tea brands for the first time. As the pioneer in making fresh tea with Chinese style as the theme in China's mainland, unlike other enterprises, it has been oriented at the blank market. The founder of Sexy Tea believed that brand was like a new life, which required time to look after from a pregnancy to birth. So, first of all, I'll come to you, Dr. Sajid. We like tea in Pakistan.
Tea.
But do you like Chinese
tea? Tea is a culture in Pakistan, of course.
Tea is also a culture in Pakistan. And but then let's come to like Chinese brands. I think there's a lot of innovation going on.
In Pakistan, we have milk tea. It's sugar, milk, and black tea mixed together, called sometimes masala tea.
Masala tea.
Masala tea. And it's hot, but it's not cold.
Doodh patti, masala tea.
There's so many words there, the names. But in the Chinese now, mostly the traditional people, like the old age people, they prefer like really traditional green tea or other different kind of the teas. But that tea is not involve milk into it, no sugar at all.
Sure, no sugar.
But this is like the choice of like a kind of a new generation, so-called.
Yeah.
The young boys and the girls, they like cold things, including ice cream, drinks, including the cold tea, which is icy, sugary, milk, bubbles like inside. And I even tasted that tea, and the taste sounds okay, it's good. But I know some people, they don't prefer to take that tea.
It's like young people, especially young girls, love milk
This
tea.
is what the reason, wherever you go in big malls and like different kind of like malls and outside and Solana and other places, there's so many kind of like outlets, they're selling these Chinese milk tea.
Yeah, but we had frozen yogurt outlets everywhere. People thought it was healthier than ice cream. They had many flavors, but it was just a trend that lasted a few years, and I think we did not develop any local brands.
But one thing is, I would just like to mention here that this Chinese milk tea, they have changed the taste of those young people who were addicted to go to the coffee shops.
Yeah, that's right. That's really
the
true.
coffee shops. Now there are still people there. Doesn't mean that they don't. They just wind up their businesses. But there's a huge market move from that coffee addiction to the Chinese milk tea.
To milk tea.
I mean, there's a new taste.
Yes. Professor Joe, what do you feel about this trend?
Let's say something about the teas. First, you see, Pakistani teas are really very good because I stayed in Pakistan for more than 10.5 years, something like that. So I enjoy that. But Pakistan lack of the sense of a brand because we all know the 4 major red tea, or we say black tea, come from Sri Lanka, number 1, and Darjeeling from India, Assam from India, and also Anhui province. 4. Nothing from Pakistan. So Pakistan have not established strong brand. Also, we mentioned something about milk tea. Yes, you mentioned very rightly that most of the milk tea are in the coffee room rather than in the pure tea room. Pure tea, people don't just drink the milk tea. But I have some other ideas. You see, why not we just using tea culture? We can just make it in some other way. Look at the New Oriental School, Xin Dongfang School. You know, I think it's very famous in China about the English language language training school, which just try to train the Chinese students to pass the TOEFL or some others, you see, which very important for them to go to the overseas for university study. But they changed their pattern. You see, they also run a very successful cooking school, which they just train a lot of first, at least the second class of the cookers, you see, to the restaurants, you see. And for also something about 58 COM, 58同城, which I think Dr. Sajid also know. At the beginning, only just a housekeeping for the maid of housekeeping.
Right.
But right now, you see,
they've
almost
diversified,
everywhere,
basically.
estate, you see, truck transportation, everywhere there's a 58同城, 58 COM, you see. So for this case, if we only say, okay, how can we make our Pakistani tea to be the best? I think that's not important. To make a Pakistan tea with a lot of other attached brand coming in, that will be more useful.
So why is it that in Pakistan we do not have
like,
this kind of vision as yet?
I tell you, like if you're talking about if you go before the year 2000, there was no concept of milk tea in China, right?
True.
And this milk tea is originally generated by Taiwan in 1988, and it becomes the culture of the Taiwanese food and beverages. This is so-called pearl tea, bubble tea,
tapioca,
boba milk tea. They're different names actually. But and it's like milk of a mixture of milk, sugar, the chewy like beans and ice and all together, different flavors, and now is available. But in the introduction in the Chinese in China mainland, that's 1996, it becomes starting famous. So the young generation,
Yes.
whenever they go, they take it and just moving around, walking and just drinking tea. And that's a different thing, but it's cold.
Yes.
It could be available in hot
Yeah.
as well, but generally it's cold, made of like ice inside. So the point is, like the young generation, for example, they are moving towards now. There was a time when like McDonald's, KFCs, like Pizza Huts, they close at 10 o'clock, 9 o'clock. Now they are open 24 hours.
Yeah.
I personally can tell you, at one time, I went to McDonald's at 2 o'clock at night, and there were still people who were sitting there and were eating.
Yes.
The culture, I mean, the things, not only in China, even in Pakistan, everywhere around the world, the things are changing very rapidly. Convenience. Like people, like they're reluctant to cook at home. They just go and the restaurants are open 24/7.
And it's almost equally expensive, actually.
Fine. I mean,
that's another thing.
The things that the people, they like convenience.
Yes.
They don't care about whether it's a junk food or not, but the convenience.
Yeah.
But think about this, Professor Zhou, that right now in China, there are Chinese brands of milk tea, coffee, etc., that are strong enough compared to international coffee brands in the country.
I don't really think.
In a way, in terms of customer preference.
I don't really think people
think
seek
that?
after for that. I think it's very important things. For instance, take our Archer Zoom, for example, because she is beautiful. She may have 30% more opportunity than the others. Look at our Excellency Sajid also has this kind of advantage. What we can say is the first, because it's not a good looking problem, you have to see it's a good tasting problem. The first is how to make the people enjoy tasting such kind of tea.
Right.
So this is something more important. Then through the taste, when it becomes popular, the brand may just emerge very naturally. Not necessarily we just give a lot of package by advertisement. No, not this way. So I suppose right now, as you mentioned, more people like milk, more people like tea. So there's a combination.
Right.
It's a very natural combination rather than forced one. So for this case, I suppose it's not a priority for the Chinese tea producer to create some brand for the world. It's first try to satisfy about 1.4 billion population. Then later something may happen.
Then we can expect the expansion further. Dr. Sajid, you think Pakistan can learn from this?
Definitely. If we introduce such kind of new products, the Chinese brands, in particular in Pakistan, would be a great potential because Pakistani people are the tea lovers.
Yes.
And we have a huge percentage of the young people, boys, girls, and young adults. So if we introduce such kind of things in Pakistan, definitely I'm sure there's a huge potential.
So with that, thank you to both of our guests. Thank you for watching. Until next time, goodbye.